We talk about Peter Thiel quite a bit on this channel. And one of the things about Peter Thiel is that he is influenced, among other things, by a French philosopher named René Girard. René Girard had this kind of idea called mimetic theory. And the idea is that at the core, we're not going to get too far into it, but at the core is that human desire isn't something that just kind of spontaneously combusts, doesn't just come out of us. It's actually something that is imitated by observing what others want. So there's three main parts to it. The person who wants, that's you, the individual, the object of desire, and the model who's embodying that desire. And all these are important, are extremely important, I think, to this kind of dialogue that we're about to get into. But most importantly, we're going to talk on and focus upon right now is the last part, is kind of where I think there's kind of a top-down approach coming from the models of the things that we desire. So you can have, the people desire certain things. An individual desires certain things. Maybe, I think 100 years ago, it might have been something completely different. But I feel like today, most people desire, there's kind of these superficial things we desire. We desire fame, money, whatever, women, we see it in the media and whatnot. So there's kind of been a stripping away at the individual to want, family, friends, these kind of things are kind of gone. And those aren't really desired anymore. Well, they are, but I'm just saying that in a general sense, we don't push that kind of stuff. So that's kind of like a breaking down at the individual level. But at the model level, you have that stripping away at the individual to make it so that they desire something other than actual quality things, community, family, all these things. And they say, okay, that's gone. So now we're going to push in a different type of model of what you will want to desire. I think that all this has been kind of applied to the internet landscape, this kind of threefold, these three parts of the person wanting, the desire, and the model of what they desire. And you can kind of see it in each of these high profile personalities. They're kind of embodying a certain archetype that you can draw from. And it's like, if you look at an individual and their circumstances, and they meet a certain threshold of your circumstances, of the model's circumstances, people fall into that and they like that, and they will eventually begin to embody that individual, the individual on the screen that they're watching. And orbiters, come on, we've seen this, orbiters. They start to talk like them. They start to dress like them. And I think, eventually you start to think like them. We've seen this with Destiny, we've seen this with Hassan and other people. Nick Fuentes, any personality online that I've ever interacted with, I've seen they have orbiters who you're like, oh, you can tell instantly. Oh, you're a fan of that person. You're on that person's team. Oh, gotcha. And it's not just talking points. It's actually more than that. It's persona. They embody that. And I've talked about Asmongold on this channel quite a bit. Not as much as Peter Thiel, but I've talked about him a little bit here and there. And when I look at someone like Asmongold, he purposefully plays up the neat incel lifestyle.
Over there are some drinks and just random stuff. There's my refrigerator that I put the drinks in. And before we go ahead and get into it, I'll give you all just a real good look at what we've got going on here. As you can see, I know what you're thinking. Man, you cleaned it up.
Why? Why would he do that? He's a millionaire. Don't give me the shit of he's just lazy. He can hire a maid. You can get a maid for like $50 a week to just clean your apartment, clean your whatever. So it's like, that's not it. Well, you have to think, it's to step into the lives of the average young American male. And if you live a similar life to him, you'll look at him and say, oh, okay, that's our guy. He's our guy. Remember that? Remember that meme? We haven't even heard many people say that since 4chan got outed as being kind of an Israeli propaganda front, but let's just forget about that. And there's nothing really revelatory about any of what I just said. Of course, you're going to try to appeal to your audience. I get that. But what I believe is happening, and what we saw with Tim Dillon last week, Tim Dillon actually came out and said, hey, Peter Thiel's calling me up, and he wants to have dinner to discuss culture and media.
I think they're buying people left and right. This is my guess. I've been invited to Thiel's house multiple times for dinner. I don't go. It's no shade at them. The reason I don't go is I remember one dinner, they're like, we'd like to discuss the media. I go, what? thanks. I've sat in these houses in Austin with these tech people, and I know what they want, and I know what they want me to go out and cheerlead for and say, well, it's actually a great idea, and there's probably a lot of money in it. There's probably a lot of money, and I just can't do it.
And from what he said, he didn't agree to it. He didn't want to do it. And thankfully, he told us about it because I already suspected it. I already knew it was happening. I think Peter Thiel and his entourage are, through the mimetic philosophy, are pushing their agenda subconsciously through these people, through people like Asmongold. They want to manipulate and propagandize young, disaffected men to begin to agree with their message and their agenda and get them on board with the AI takeover of our country, essentially. But it's not in text or words. It's not slogans. It's not build back better, right? Make America great again. Although those do, play a part. It's none of that stuff. It's the image itself. It's a holistic approach to propaganda. It's watching this guy on the screen for 10 hours a day. You'll copy his persona, and by extension, the ideas he is espousing. Hey, I'm just like him. I'm a neat just like him. Because a guy in my position should have the same opinion that he has. Because we're the same, right? It's the image of the desire of someone in your position. Hey, monkey see, monkey do, right? At the same time, you have these people. You get Vox, the Vox article that came out we talked about. It's bad. The big, beautiful bill took out the provisions for AI. That's really bad for us and really good for China. And it's all this it's just kind of a general, it's an overarching holistic approach to propaganda that I think is absolutely happening. And I think I had this question not too long ago about black female singers. And I asked, why are they so aggressive and masculine? Why don't you see any soft-spoken, demure, like actual feminine singers? Why are all the most famous ones so aggressive? Why, the Cardi B's of the world, the Nicki Minaj's of the world, the Megan Thee Stallions, the Lottos, all these people are and their music is so aggro. Well, I think it's probably because they want black women, but the people kind of embodying this content, they want them to be aggressive. They want them to be this way and to embody that lifestyle, the lifestyle of, well, that person's black, I'm black. And they talk about similar experiences I might have had, and they want money and fame and power, and they act that way. So I'm going to start acting that way. But then you find out quickly that, that doesn't actually translate very well to real life at all. That doesn't put food on the table. That doesn't, pay the bills. Unless, of course, you want to radically change the country through politics. BLM, hello. The Democratic platform, hello. It's basically just lawlessness, letting people out of jail, open board. None of that. That shit basically embodies that kind of idea, that ghetto black idea. That's all that is wrapped up into the Democratic platform. So you can push people, individuals and communities towards ideas and ways of acting through this kind of mimetic philosophy of having models that they push up to the forefront. And in doing so, they create tension, and that can result in political change. It's this kind of stepping, it's this overarching propaganda. And all this began with the disillusion of any sort of organic model that you can imitate. I actually agree. I think Peter Thiel's, or Rene Girard and all these people, I think they're onto something here. That I think people do just largely imitate others and the desires that they have. But the problem is that the organic figures that you had in your life, your family, your friends, your priest, all that's gone. The Asmongolds of the world, the people watching him, the NEETs, they don't have families. They probably come from broken homes already. They probably don't have father figures in their lives, and they probably don't go to church either. So what do you have? What do you have to go off of? Well, you have somebody like Asmongold. Well, you have your favorite singer, your favorite rapper. And through these kind of models, through these, okay, here's Jordan Peterson, your internet father. Here you go. He's telling you what to do. Clean your room. Wash your penis. Okay, I thought we already knew that. I thought that was a kind of a given. Well, not for Asmongold, he doesn't clean his room ever. But here's your internet father figure. Oh, by the way, support Israel. Yeah. Oh, yeah. The individual has a certain threshold at which they match and mirror their certain communities, and maybe they even play into that, which I think that happens. I think that's just something that naturally happens. But through that image, they inject what they want. In the case of Asmongold that I talked about, it was the AI thing. We need to allow Palantir and Anduril and Erebor and all these companies to take over, because if we don't, China's right there. We don't want China to win, right, guys? China, we don't even have a fucking border wall. Who the fuck gives a shit about China? It's all the way across the Pacific Ocean. The problem of China is like several down the list. Like there's so many other things that are more pressing than China. But hey, that's something that a guy like me who is living in a roach-filled apartment, I need to worry about China and AI. No, bro, you need to fill out a job application. You need to wash yourself. You need to go to the gym. You need to go to church, okay? There's like more pressing, immediate things in your life that you need to take care of, rather than the big bad China, who we've been talking about for 30 years now, whom we essentially emboldened to be in the position they're in to begin with. I definitely think you need to be more wary of the online influence in the people you're talking to and watching, even if it's been a while, even if you've been watching them for 5-10 years. I think even that's not putting them in the safe zone, because you don't actually know.